The New York Mets have made their first moves to trim down the roster because they invited over 70 players to spring training, and we know you cannot have 70 players. So the Mets have to figure out what is their exact roster going to be. And the players that we will not see in spring training games anymore this season is Matt Allen, Oscar De La Cruz, Riley Gilliam, JT Ginn, Harold Gonzalez, Trevor Hildenberger, Tylor Megill, Steven Nogoshek, Marcel Renteria, Jared Robinson, Tom Windle, and then those big-time prospects like Francisco Alvarez, Pete Crow Armstrong, Brett Beatty, also Drew Ferguson, Ronnie Mauricio, Nick Meyer, Hayden Singer, and Mark Vientos. And in addition, also Franklin Kilome, Sean Reid Foley, and Thomas Zapuki. So the Mets are really trying to decide who is going to be on this opening day roster because, again, the only real openings on this team is probably a bullpen spot with Brad Brock being released and the Seth Lugo injury. So in this video, we're going to update the Mets roster and see how it looks right now, how the position battles are going, and what the team could look like. Later on in this video, I'm also going to give my reactions to Carlos Carrasco having some elbow soreness and to the Mets doing a premature World Series celebration. So a lot of interesting stuff today. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment down below. What do you think about the players that the Mets sent down? The two guys sent out to me are Trevor Holdenberger and Sean Reid Foley, which I'll get to in a little while. But also comment down below, what players have you been impressed with in spring training and do you think have a real chance of making this team? If you want to make my day and do a very nice gesture, you always could subscribe. It's free, it helps me out, and I appreciate it. Now, the reason why Hildenberger and Sean Reid Foley are the guys that stand out to me is, again, the opening right now is in the bullpen, and Hildenberger, he had been pitching pretty well in his couple of outings. He's a guy that really stands out to me because he has a very unique delivery, a sidearm pitcher, and he was generating a good amount of strikeouts. He didn't have a ton of pitches, like we saw Sam McWilliams yesterday, who threw a scoreless inning, but he gave up 3 walks. It was a long, stressful inning. Trevor Holdenberger hasn't really had innings like that. I feel like he's a guy that we saw so little of. He pitched well. I just wanted to see some more to see if he actually is any good and maybe use him earlier in the game where teams have more of their starters out there, not late in games where you're facing a bunch of minor league players. And then for Sean Reid Foley, he's a guy I really thought had a chance to be on this team because he pitched pretty well in his 5 games with the Blue Jays in 2020. So the fact that this guy has very recent major league experience, has the ability to go multiple innings because he can give you some starts. I feel like he was a guy that deserved some more opportunities in spring training, and in his very limited innings, he pitched well also. So I did want to see some more of him, but it looks like the Mets kind of know who they want to be on this roster. Now, as of right now, that last bullpen spot, it really looks like Drew Smith is going to be the guy that gets that last bullpen spot, and that's fine because he does have the experience. I will say that the one thing that always has stood out to me about Drew Smith, the last full season he had in 2018, his ERA looked good. But I remember plenty of times where Drew Smith would come into the game with runners on base and would let those runners score. He did not do well with stranding runners. The runners that he inherited, a lot of times they scored. So I think that Drew Smith might have to be a guy that used in very situational spots. I think Drew Smith is a guy that needs clean innings. So we'll see if that's something the Mets look at analytically or what their approach would be to utilizing Drew Smith out of the bullpen. Now, it is unfortunate to see these other big-time prospects no longer play. It definitely was a lot of fun watching them. I've really been liking watching Mark Vientos. He's a guy that stood out to me because he's got a batting average in the 750s and on-base percentage in the 850s in very limited plate appearances, not against the greatest pitching ever, but for somebody who's so young, I thought it definitely was very encouraging. It's always good to see the young players playing well. Ryan Russo had a nice 2 RBI single yesterday. His average is over 300, so it was good to see what these infielders could do. Brett Beatty also had a few nice hits, so down the road, the third base position is going to be very interesting for the Mets if they do indeed lock up Francisco Lindor. Even though those players are not still on the spring training roster, they still have 53 players left in camp. So who are the guys that are still left that are still kind of trying to fight for a spot, not only on the Mets, but on another major league team in general? And some of the guys that stand out is Jacob Barnes, Jerry Blevins, Stephen Tarpley, Tommy Hunter, Mike Montgomery, Sam McWilliams, Aroldis Vizcaíno, at least for the pitching side. I found it interesting that they said that Brandon Drury has a chance to make this team after Jose Martinez suffering the torn meniscus. He's going to be out for 4 months. I don't know if Brandon Drury is necessarily the guy that I would call up. I think that Jose Peraza, maybe I'd lean a little bit towards him. And Alex Smith is still on the spring training roster as well. Now, regardless, I like Albert Almora's glove off the bench. He made a really nice play in right field yesterday. So he's a guy that I think that outfield defense is something that this team needs. They've played Kevin Pillar in center field a little bit, but he hasn't really gotten that many balls hit to him. So we can't see exactly where Pillar's defense is right now. We know that the analytics say that he's on the decline, but we haven't really seen it happen in game action, at least for the home games. Now, because Carlos Carrasco is dealing with some elbow soreness, he got to spring training late, so it's going to take a while before he can actually get his arm built up in in-game action. He is most likely going to miss his first start of the season. That means the Mets will have to use another starting pitcher. So will that be Joey Lucchesi? Will that be Jordan Yamamoto? Will it be Jared Eichhoff? that's something that's got to be decided in spring training. That has now definitely become a big time position battle. You really hope that this Carrasco elbow soreness is nothing major and it's just a bit of a minor setback, and then he'll be back as soon as possible. He's not out for an extended period of time. We saw injuries to the rotation completely messed up the Mets year last year, so we don't want to see it happen again, especially with Syndergaard still out. I felt like Carrasco is going to be a massive addition to this team, could be a huge difference maker, so they really need him on the field and pitching well. Now, as far as the Mets' premature World Series celebration, I have mixed feelings about it. I'm glad that that's the Mets' goal of going to a World Series. They feel like they could do it. I'd like to see them actually do it before they put together a whole big celebration, because if the Mets miss the playoffs or if they lose in a wild card game, it's just a bad look. It reminds me of Brody saying, oh, we're going to win World Series, come get us. It kind of would just feed into that, so I'm not sure how to feel about it. Let me know what your guys' take was on that celebration. Don't forget, tomorrow night, Mets Weekly on Mets Fans Only channel with myself, Mets Fans Only, Mets fan from YouTube, Jolly Olive, iTalk Studios, Tony Metro. So make sure you don't miss that. On Friday, a live stream after the Mets game, and then on Saturday, Subscriber Saturday. So leave some suggestions for what video you would like to see on Saturday. I've seen plenty of them. A lot of them are really good. The ones like Joshua Rock's award predictions, that's going to be closer to the start of the regular season. So again, let me know what kind of videos you guys want to see. And until those next videos, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets. Please, no more injuries.